BOCES for April 28th, BOCES budget vote. All present is the board and Dr. Egan. Okay. We'll begin with the budget vote, the Western Suffolk budget vote. Patty, do I read that question?
Yes.
Okay. The Board of Education of Kings Park School District voted to approve the 2021 administrative budget for the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, Second Supervisory District of Suffolk County, Western Suffolk BOCES. I need my glasses, guys. Hold on.
And what I can do, if it's helpful, Mr. Ford, is I can share my screen and just give the board a real quick overview of the BOCES budget, just as a reminder, because I know everybody reviewed the big packet of stuff that we got from BOCES, but
Okay.
what I can do now, if you just give me 2 seconds, I practiced it earlier and it works, is this is just a real quick overview. The BOCES budget has 2 parts to it. There's a capital part, and the increase is 0.56% on the capital part. And then the second part is the administrative charge, and there's a 1.97% increase on that side. I can tell you that BOCES has been super frugal, and over the past 5 years, the average administrative increase has been 1.64%. BOCES is critical because 91% of their budget goes towards providing career and technical education, special ed services, and instructional support services for the region. And then just to break down what that looks like for us is Kings Park will actually see a net decrease because the 18 districts in Western Suffolk BOCES share the cost. It's driven by enrollment. So our enrollment is going down. So we will actually see a net decrease on the administrative cost size of $743 for next year. And on the capital side, approximately $1,900, and I believe that's $88 for a net decrease of $2,731. So even though the percentage is increasing, our net district piece of that is going down.
Nice. Okay. Any questions from the board?
My only question is who wrote the headline? I get it may be a different base, but how does 1.97% of something and 0.56% of something else stay under 2%? But maybe the math works.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the vote.
A second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On to the ballot of election for the Educational Board. Patty, do I read the public?
Yeah, you can read that and their names.
Okay. There are 3 vacancies on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services to be filled at the annual election to be held on April
I didn't have the date at the time, sorry.
Right, 28th, 2020. The trustees or Board of Education of each component school district by resolution must cast 1 vote for each vacancy to be filed, provided that no more than 1 vote may be cast for any candidate. No more than one person residing in a particular component school district may be elected to serve on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services at one time, except as provided in Education Law 1950 2-A. The district clerk or other officer authorized to certify that a board resolution has been adopted shall complete the ballot by placing an X next to the name of the candidate for whom a vote has been cast and by completing the attached certification. Candidates are listed in alphabetical order in their school district of residency. Okay, we have to vote for 3, and there are 3. First one, Mr. James Cadden of South Huntington School District. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Second is Mrs. Jeanette Santos, Amityville School District. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the third, Mr. Peter Wancha, if I said that correctly, of Comac School District. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Patty, is that sufficient enough for?
Yeah, just make a motion for the whole thing
The
and
whole-
somebody second.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for all 3 candidates.
I'll second.
All in,
Need a second or we just vote?
we got a second. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Is that good, Patty?
Yes, it's very good. Thank you.
Okay. I think we're doing pretty good with Zoom, guys.
We're getting this.
Next, Dr. Egan has an update on COVID-19 update.
All right. So it's we live in challenging times. The district is working incredibly hard and still focused on our 3 essential plans. Meals are going great. We have some dedicated bus drivers and driver assistants that are delivering approximately 300 meals daily in the community. We've also been doing on Friday additional meals to hold people through the weekend. So, you know, roughly we're doling out 7 days worth of meals in 5 days. Aramark has been great in supporting it. We got grab and go at the high school, but we know a lot of folks can't get to the high school, so that's why we started doing the bus, and all that's been working out great.
That's been a few weeks, right, Dr. Egan? Mhm.
We started that basically right from the beginning of the crisis. We were able to, you know, some things, if you think of it as, you know, some things are a cruise ship and some things are, you know, a kayak, and sometimes it's easier to turn on a dime depending on what you're driving. But the meals thing really turned around quickly. We've basically been doing that since the onset, which is
Good.
great.
And Kings Park is very lucky in the fact that we have our own buses to do it. There aren't very many districts that are going around delivering meals.
Absolutely. And you know, it was interesting. At the beginning, I had a parent who was kind of critical that the district was delivering, that, you know, in some way, shape, or form, we might be stigmatizing families. You know, but it's really worked out well for those that need the meals and the food. We also,
I assume that comment came from somebody who is not receiving them as opposed to somebody who was.
correct.
Mhm.
And you would all recognize the name. So additionally, we've been working very closely with the Kings Park Fire Department. They ran an absolutely incredible food drive, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, which
Tripled their intake.
Yeah, which was absolutely wonderful, and they were super generous and delivered a piece of that over to the high school and our food pantry that we have set up there. And then this past weekend, we had a really dedicated group of staff who came in. It was Kim McGinley, Robin Paola, Sally Ayers, Ed Damala, and Craig Lehman. And they were running the show both Friday and Saturday. I stopped by Saturday for a little bit to make a donation and check in with them. They were doing a great job, and just the amount of food, non-perishables, toiletries, toothbrushes, mouthwash, you name it. They collected it, and all that goes to the food pantry and then goes back out to the community. So really, Kings Park helping Kings Park. That's been great.
Nice.
Yeah, Jack Bishop was there on Friday also.
Okay.
Did you get that, Jack Bishop? I don't know if anybody heard. Okay. My little friend here.
Yeah, my little friend. So that's been great. Not too much to report on the childcare side of things. I don't get the numbers back in terms of how many families we have making use of the Northport, East Northport site. I know that New Beginnings is looking to potentially open up May 1st, which would be Friday. I think they've had a couple of requests, but the ability is still there that if we do have some first responders and healthcare workers, that they can get childcare, and it's free through Scope, and the site again is Northport, and New Beginnings is open again for for business starting May 1st.
Very nice.
All right, so then we move on to continuity of learning, and I'm going to share my screen again and show you the update. I think it was in my weekly update to the board last week, but I'll walk you through where we are and where we're trying to get. So about a week and a half ago, we were having, I don't want to say a tremendous amount of discussion, but we were having a lot of discussion around how we were going to treat the fourth quarter and the third trimester on the elementary level in terms of grades. And when Dr. Cardesano and I sat down and thought this through a little bit more, we wanted to make sure that we're focusing now on instruction and feedback, and we can figure out the grade part of that in the not too distant future. But if we decide the grade part now, that could potentially drive the instruction and the feedback part. So we wanted to focus on instruction first and how we would be able to provide feedback to our students while they're learning from home. So the big shift at the bottom here was, at the beginning when we thought we were going to be out for 2 weeks, we were providing activities and assignments that students were grabbing off the website for the most part, Google Classroom, and the shift that we made the end of last week, midweek last week, and then again for this week, is to focus more on instruction and feedback. So what we did was we broke up instruction into 2 boxes. We got the blue box and we got the green box. And what we said to our staff was, we need to try to get into the green box more. And items in that green box are both visual and auditory. Google Meet is a piece of the G Suite, the Google Suite that many of our teachers are entrenched in right now. I know my own kids in Northport, both on the elementary level and the middle school level, have been doing that as well. Google is, you know, a tool that we've been using here in Kings Park for approximately 2 years, and we're leveraging that a little bit more. We know that some of our staff are struggling for various reasons. It's a very stressful time, and live video may not be possible in some situations, whether it's because of bandwidth or other issues. So in the green box is synchronous chat with students in a Google Doc. So you can, on the instructional side, create a document and work simultaneously in that document with one or more students. So for now, we left that on the synchronous live side. We are using Zoom as a district, more on the administrative end, but we are leveraging that tool a little bit more because of some of the features that it does have. For example, like right now, I can share my screen, which is very useful. I could also turn off my camera if I wanted to, and we could just do an audio session.
I was going to ask Tim, do people realize that the host can turn, I believe, can turn all video off? So you can use Zoom basically as a conference call feature and still be able to share your documents, but turn the video capability off.
Yes. One of the issues we had with Zoom was early on there were a couple of instances around the state or around the island that involved Zoom, and Zoom has since upgraded its the back end, and I think we're on version 5.0 since March. March, if you considered that version 1.0. So their product has evolved. It is on the list of state approved products, but there are some features, like for example, none of you can share your screen right now. I've turned that feature off, and that feature is real important because we don't want anyone who's on the call to be able to share their screen and essentially take over the meeting. So, you know, that is something that we can control on the back end, and I have. So the district has a Zoom account, and we're in the process of getting an additional account through BOCES. But there are recommended settings that you can set behind the scenes that make the product a little bit more secure and you know, checks the boxes of you know, privacy and things like that. So
Yeah, I mean, so as you said, some of it is understanding and evolving and how to use things and use things better. I mean, the interesting flip side is for my kids for college, at least at the beginning of their classes, their teachers make them have their video on. It's basically their way of taking attendance and knowing who's dialed in. They can then, if they decide, they can then turn their video off, or the professor can turn their videos off altogether. But I think it's being willing and able to adapt and evolve as the rest of the world is.
and
Tim, is there?
evolve is the theme for the week.
I saw that.
Tim, is there any way for teachers to get instruction themselves on Google Meet or Zoom so they can access it with the assumption that everyone knows how to use it? I know Addison has a class meeting on Friday, and Ms. Irachi has to break it up into 2 or 3 different Zoom calls because they can't handle that amount of students all being on at one time.
Can I just interrupt for 1 minute, everyone, just to
Yeah.
remind you, we are on a public phone call meeting, so I'd like to just leave names out
Oh, my
for some
apologies.
reasons.
Yeah, we can go into a little bit more candid detail later if we want. That's a really good point. So the short answer is yes. We are doing, and on the IT website, there's a whole area of support, both on the public side and behind the scenes through Google, that teachers can access to learn a little bit more about these tools. We have also been running sessions that Danielle Thompson's been really supportive with. BOCES is also running training, and Stony Brook University is running free online training. So we're supporting those that want to learn more and move things forward and evolve. We're Definitely trying to support those folks. One of the other pieces that has been real effective is good old-fashioned phone. So particularly on the elementary level, I know many of our teachers have made daily phone calls, just to check in with students. In some cases, if students aren't joining Google Meets and things like that, they've been making phone calls to determine, what's going on at home. Is there anything we can do to help support? But a good old-fashioned phone, and I listed Google Voice, is a great way to make a phone call from, some of our staff were concerned about, caller ID and things like that. So we did share *67, and there are a couple of apps that are out there where, your caller ID doesn't show up on your phone, which was a concern for some of our staff. Also in the instructional box, but on the asynchronous side, or pre-recorded, posted type stuff, we've done a tremendous amount of work with our staff, and we continue to do work with our staff using Flipgrid, Screencastify, iMovie. A lot of the video that I've done, I've simply used my iPad or even a smartphone, and then just posted it to my personal YouTube channel. Some folks are doing that kind of stuff. We can also use Zoom to record video and audio, which is, something that I've tinkered around as well. It's fairly simple to do, and then we can post these videos and share them. The neat thing about Flipgrid is that students can also record a video and send it back to their teacher. So I know my own kids, for example, were using Flipgrid to record music and things like that, and send it back to their music teacher, and that was pretty effective on that end. We are trying to keep grading to a relative minimum right now, focusing on a small number of things rather than typical what we might expect, tests and quizzes and things like that, but trying to focus on grading absolutely essential type stuff. And the Google Apps is a great way for students to submit work and teachers to be able to submit feedback to students. We have audio and video going both ways between teachers and students. Kami PDF annotation tool is an awesome tool that, quite frankly, I didn't even know existed before the pandemic, but it's a way that you can write directly on PDFs and give students feedback right on a PDF, which is saving printing and things like that at home. You're sending a PDF back and forth to each other, but you can write on it. We have Castle Learning, which is used a little bit more on the secondary level. Compass Learning, a little bit more on the elementary level. We have Learning A to Z, RAS Kids, and some teachers are using the Remind app, which is basically an app which is similar to texting back and forth, where you're able to give students either a reminder that they need to check something or some specific feedback if we want to do that as well. And then we also reviewed with our staff numerous instructional tools and other resources that we have at our fingertips. You know, Khan Academy is an oldie but goodie, but Discovery Education has numerous videos and online lesson plans that is separated by grade level and subject area, and just some great resources for our teachers to use. And this is the short version of the update to our remote learning plan.
It's good to hear they were getting these messages out, because you know, and it's hard right now with our networks somewhat shrunken. So personal feedback is what it is, but in many cases we have a long way to go with this. I think it varies. You know, our students are getting such varied experiences depending on who they're working with. All I can point out is, particularly as my daughter has not heard live from one teacher yet in 6 weeks. So it's a bit disappointing.
Can I just rephrase that we're in public session? I understand everybody's at different levels. This is something we have never, as in any school district too, have ever had to encounter. I am very happy with the plan that Dr. Egan has put out. I'm very happy that Dr. Egan is and does account for teachers who have different circumstances at home. People are dealing with this at many different levels. I'm not saying education is secondary. However, for some at this point, it could be, because it could be survival for them. So I really appreciate, Dr. Egan, your effort on making sure you're covering everybody as to how they can deliver instruction. I do want to also point out, I like that Mrs. Marino has put out something for her school. I'm sure it's other principals, but that's the first one that came to my mind. Giving parents a gauge of what's expected. And almost, I liked the tone that she had, and she doesn't want parents panicking. Everybody's doing their best. We are coming across obstacles, but I think we're getting through some of those obstacles, some shorter than others, some longer than others. But I think we have a plan in place that covers everyone. And I think everybody is doing the best that they can. I'm just accounting for myself as an educator. With the kids that I deal with, I have two circumstances that are very fragile right now, as do many people, I'm sure. Sometimes we have to put different priorities in respect of what our priorities used to be. That's just me speaking, but I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. for the update.
Yeah, Pam, I agree with that, and I think the plan makes sense. I'm happy with the plan, and I think your comments point out one of the largest needs, right? You're seeing that through the contact you have with your students, you're identifying kids that maybe need more than education right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not able to be in touch with them live, you might not have that feedback. And that's an important part of what's going on now. But we do need to evolve and have expectations, and everybody's going to be different. But we need to move this forward. And
Absolutely agree, Joe.
we need to see execution on this plan. So
And I think Dr. Egan pointed out, I think we're all at different levels where teachers can give that execution. And just to point out, the two that are in my class that are very fragile, I have not had video conversation with parents or emailing me because of the circumstance. So there's different levels of communicating. I can't get it, it's personal reason, I'm sure I know you understand. But regardless of how I'm communicating with them, I'm still making that attempt. And I think the plan that Dr. Egan just put out is covering all that with expectations. Absolutely. We always talk about growth mindset to where you start and how you grow. But in these circumstances, I think we sometimes have to take a step back and maybe go at own people's pace.
We tried to, and thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. We tried to build flexibility into the plan, giving as many options as we can. The focus is on connections with kids and with families, understanding that Maslow trumps Bloom. And if you're an educator, you know what that means. But Maslow is basic hierarchy of needs. So he was a researcher, and in mental health land, basic needs supersede everything. And Bloom is our instructional guide in terms of the hierarchy of learning. So basic needs first, and learning second is basically what we've been using to drive our connection with families. But we are trying to leverage the instruction, the feedback a little bit more, but at the same time not put people over the edge and cause anxiety that is just unneeded. Try to balance that all out and strike a good balance.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding Dr. Egan's update?
Well, the ones with various anxieties in terms of how to post information. I understand, with the anxiety of family issues and things of that nature. Okay, that's a very different circumstance. But with some of the others, though, are we able to somehow try to assuage some of their trepidations about going on online teaching, either live or even if it is just recorded lesson, and say, listen, we can help you overcome some of these either fears or lack of knowledge.
Yes, and that's an excellent question, Mr. John.
Right.
This is what you can get help with.
Did you hear that, Dr. Egan?
Yeah, we have one of the things, and I can share a little bit more with the board in a little bit, is I did send out a survey to staff, and we have been collecting some anecdotal data from our principals who are meeting with staff in terms of some of their concerns and trepidations, and trying to address them and reduce the barriers where we might have barriers, or eliminate the barriers and concerns. And I wrote this to staff yesterday. Complete transparency. This is not the job that any of us signed up for, but it's the job that we're faced with today. So none of us thought we would ever be holding instruction or board meetings via video conference, but unfortunately, that's where we are today, and we got to try to do the best we can to meet the needs of the students.
Agreed. Any other questions, anyone? No? Okay. Okay. And that's it for your update, Dr. Egan?
That's it.
Okay. So on the agenda next was just important dates. Our next Board of Ed meeting, as you put, is a Zoom conference on Tuesday, May 12th at 7:30. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to go into exec to discuss personnel matters. Second. Do you want to second that?
Oh, second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, my mute was on.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Bye-bye.
good day. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.